What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a look at Rebecca. You see, OP-04 is now out over in Japan, so that means that we're kind of, at least I'm interested, I'm assuming a bunch of you are as well, interested in, well, what the new decks are and whether they might be any good. Now, Rebecca is one of the most hyped cards from the new set, one of the most hyped leaders, and of course I showed you the other day that one of the most expensive cards in the new set is the alternate art of Rebecca. It's right up there with the alternate art of Vivi, which I think is a cooler card on a better leader, but that's not what we're talking about today, so we don't need to go into any more detail. What we do need to go into detail about, however, is what this deck is, how this deck works, and whether this deck could indeed be a rather fantastic deck. Now remember that in terms of Rebecca here, we got a dual colour leader that is not allowed to attack. 5,000 power, 5 life, and remember it's usually 4 life when you've got 5,000 power on a dual colour leader, but you can't attack. That's the downside here. You're not allowed to attack, boo, hiss, etc. But you do have a rather nice skill, whereby once during your turn, you can pay 1, and then if you've got 6 or fewer cards in hand, you look at the top 2 cards on the top of your deck, find a Dressrosa type card, add it to your hand, trash the rest. We'll see why trashing is good in a moment. So basically it lets you search out the things that you need. It's going to give you a very consistent deck because every turn your leader is potentially at least getting you an extra card that you need that is Dressrosa, and that is awesome. Now I should mention that technically Rebecca is a dual colour blue and black leader. That is absolutely true. But the lists I'm seeing around, including the list I'm showing in this video, they are just solo black, mono black. They're not playing any blue cards. That is an option that you have. That's not where we're going. Which really shouldn't actually be terribly surprising, because all the Dressrosa cards are black. And the whole point of playing Rebecca is that it lets you search out your Dressrosa cards. So of course you're going to be going mono black. If we don't get any good blue Dressrosa cards, and right now we don't, yeah, there's literally no point. So we're not doing that. Jobs are good 'em. So having a look at the characters then, we have some cheap ones, and we've got ourselves a full playset of Gats. 1 cost, 1,000 power, counter plus 2,000, and we know it's important to have counter plus 2,000. And on play, up to one of your characters with the Dressrosa type may attack your opponent's characters that are active during this turn. It doesn't give them rush because they cannot attack the leader and try and take out life and all of that, but they absolutely can be going after characters. That's a pretty gosh darn big deal. We've then got a full playset of the 1 cost Rebecca. Obviously this is a Dressrosa deck. It's basically all coming from OP-04. As you would expect, because, well, that's when the Dressrosa cards came around. And Rebecca's 1 cost, 2,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And on play, you look at 3 cards on the top of your deck, find a Dressrosa card other than Rebecca, add it to your hand, trash the rest. So once again, just like with the leader, and this is very similar to the leader, you're searching out Dressrosa cards while building up your trash, which is going to be big when we get there in a minute. This is doing everything we want it to. This is a good early game play. Now, we've got Ideo here, and we've got 2 cost, 2,000 power, counter plus 1,000. Only playing this as a free of incident. No, I'm lying to you, it is a playset. Sorry about that. I should mention this deck did win a tournament over at a local shop in Japan. It was a small tournament. This wasn't some giant win, but it's an example of how this deck can work, and I know a bunch of you want a deck list you can use to start building with. And this is a blocker. It's nothing more than that. It's a 2 cost blocker. However, it is a cheap blocker that is Dressrosa type, which means that it can be searched out with your Rebecca leader and your Rebecca character, etc. So you've got a blocker, and you've got a blocker which is going to be coming out fairly quickly and fairly easily. This is a good thing. Now we've got a playset of Bartolomeo here, 3 cost, 3,000 power, counter plus 2,000, blocker. And sure, this is a bit more expensive than we just saw from Ideo, but counter plus 2,000, second card we've seen that on, that's good. And it's another blocker, and it's a Dressrosa card. It's also a Barto Club card if you're interested, not terribly relevant here, but this is 2 blockers now, 8 cards in total, that are Dressrosa and can be searched out quite easily, and the counter plus 2,000, that doesn't hurt either, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't hurt either. These are good things, these are advantages, these make us happy. Now, we've also got ourselves a Kyros here, and we've got 3 cost, 5,000 power. If this character would be KO'd, you can rest your leader or a Karina Coliseum instead. We'll get to the Coliseum in a minute, that's a 4 of, it's very obvious, you'll see why when we get there. But remember, your leader cannot attack. So you're not going to be resting your leader to attack, you might as well rest your leader to save this character being KO'd. This is one that's not going to leave very easily at all. And then on play, if your leader is Rebecca, which obviously it is, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less, and then trash a card from the top of your deck. Taking out weak characters or low-cost characters, trashing cards from the top of your deck, and just not leaving the field of play, or at least not being KO'd. This is another one that you can see how it fits absolutely perfectly into this deck. Moving up into 4-cost cards, we have got ourselves a playset of Olympus. 4 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000. We still haven't got particularly expensive here. But activate main once per turn, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost, and then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck, and then KO one of your Dressrosa type characters. Well, giving one of your opponent's characters -4 cost is great, and obviously that is going to combo absolutely beautifully here with Kyros. That's nice, because then you're essentially KOing a 5 cost. Trashing a card from the top of your deck is useful, as we're going to see in a minute. KOing one of your Dressrosa type characters really isn't that good. But remember that we've got our 1-cost characters. We've got ourselves Rebecca and Yats, who basically just have good play skills, but then sit there as super weak characters, so they are really good targets here to be KO'd, because actually, once you've used their play skill, they're not doing a huge amount of good for the rest of the game. Now, Cavendish comes around as a 5-cost, 6,000 power. Don X1, this character can attack active characters, which of course we saw from Gyatso as well a minute ago. You are attacking active characters, that is one of the things this deck does the best. And then when attacking, you can rest your leader, but again, the leader isn't attacking, so resting it is not that big a downside. KO up to one of your opponent's characters that cost 1 or less, but bearing in mind, with your Olympus here, that is potentially 5 or less, which is very different. And then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck, which is not a big deal. We'll get there in a moment. Now, moving up to really big characters, we've got a couple of much bigger characters here. Well, 7,000 power, but still, we've got ourselves Hazredin. Now, 6 cost, 7,000 power, counter plus 1,000. Activate main. You may rest your leader, but again, resting leader isn't that big a thing because you're not attacking. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn. Bearing in mind Olympus does the same thing. Bearing in mind that Kyros can get a KO as well on a 1-cost character, but again, you see where we're going with this. And bearing in mind Cavendish KOs a 1-cost character, but we've now got 2 different ways to bring down their cost and KO much bigger characters. Now, I keep telling you about this reason why we want cards in the trash. Luffy. We're playing a full playset here, 7 cost, 7,000 power. For what it's worth, all these characters are played as a playset. And this character can attack active characters. Yes, I know that keeps happening. I know we saw that on Cavendish. I know we saw that on Gyats. That's kind of the point, honestly. You are attacking characters that are active. Basically, what this deck is trying to do is take out your opponent's characters even when they're not rested, so you get to choose essentially what they keep on the field. That's a very good thing. Activate main once per turn. You may return 7 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Set this character to active, but then during your next refresh phase, this character cannot be set to active. So basically, you play it down, and then you get 2 uses in 1 turn, which is great, but only if you put 7 cards from the trash to your bottom of your deck. Hence why you want to be getting those cards in your trash. But then after you use this, you don't refresh during your next turn. So turn 1, you get 2 uses. And then you can use it again every turn if you put 7 cards back to the bottom of your deck. But if you ever can't do that, you've got to take a turn off from using Luffy. So the theory here is use all of those skills that put cards in your trash that we've mentioned so far, and then try getting 2 uses and then just spamming it every turn. This is a big thing which is going to go nuts. And of course, do bear in mind, Luffy can attack active characters and has a minimum 7,000 power. You are going to be taking out characters left, right and centre with Luffy. Now, they are all the characters here, but I mentioned that Karina Coliseum. This is one we need to get excited about. Now, this is a 1-cost stage, but if your leader has the Dressrosa type, your characters that have the Dressrosa type can attack characters on the turn they're played. And obviously everything here is a Dressrosa character. That's kind of the point. And this is brilliant, because we've already seen a bunch of your characters can attack active characters, but now all of them can attack characters on the turn that they're played. Now, obviously, most of them, if they don't have that extra skill, can only attack rested characters. That's fine. But you have a bunch of characters here, like Luffy, like Cavendish, which are going to be able to attack active characters on the turn that they're played, and that's just ridiculous. That is absolutely flat out ridiculous. Yeah, this stadium is a 4 of you. You kind of have to. And I'll be honest with you, the cards we're playing here in terms of event cards are just the free event cards in black from this set. This is an entirely OP-04 deck. So we've got Barrier, a 1-cost card. Counter, up to one of your leader or characters gains 2,000 power during this battle. And then if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, which again, in the early game, you're going to be working towards that quickly, that card gains an additional 2,000 power. So basically, it's a 1-cost that bumps you by 4,000. That's redonk. And then you've got Trigger. Draw 2 cards, trash 1 from your hand. So you're building up your discard while also drawing. This card is great. We've got the 3-cost Gum Gum King Kong Gun. Now this is played as a 2 of here. And we've got main, up to one of your Dressrosa characters gains 6,000 power during this turn. And if you've got 15 or more cards in your trash, you gain double attack. So you can use the cards in your trash to use Luffy multiple times, or you can do it to start playing around with these option cards, either event cards. Either's work very nicely indeed. But plus 6,000 power and double attack, bearing in mind a lot of your characters can attack active characters to take out blockers so your opponent can't block. And once you add 6,000 power, they're probably not countering out of it. Yeah, this is going to lead to some very big attacks. And then finally, we've got a 4-cost event card, which we're playing as a 3 of again. This is Trueno. I'm not going to read it in the way that it's been translated on OnePiece-cardgame.dev, but it's the 4-cost one. And what we've got is main. Choose up to one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 4 or less and KO it. But remember, we've got cards that can lower the cost of characters, so it could be an 8-cost. And then if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, sensing a pattern, choose one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 6 or less instead. Yes. And bearing in mind, 10 cost is the maximum cost any character can have. So if you use something like your Hajradin here to minus by 4, or Olympus, which does the same thing, then all of a sudden here, you're actually going after a 10-cost character, which is literally anyone. You're KOing any character for a 4-cost. That's redonk. Oh, as a trigger, you may rest your leader to KO an opponent's character of a cost of 5 or less, which is often going to be 9 or less. But again, you're resting your leader, which is not a bad thing. Although, do bear in mind, if your leader's already rested from a skill you used during your turn, you won't be able to use it as a trigger. You have been warned. This seems like a very, very good deck indeed. We like this. This is a good thing. Basically, you're attacking active characters, and you're attacking characters on the turn you're played, and you're just taking out all of their characters, so that you can then run wild attacking the leader with an option card that's going to make it much easier. This is one to watch out for when OP-04 drops. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know your opinions. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.